Now, one of my favorite fermented dishes is now at the center of a spat between South Korea and China. The row over this, kimchi, and whether it is Chinese or Korean. Kimchi, according to the UN, is the Korean name for preserved vegetables seasoned with spices and fermented seafood. Cabbage kimchi being one of the most common versions. But Chinese state-run newspaper Global Times claimed that China had received an international certification for kimchi. But what it had received was one for pao cai, Chinese-style salted fermented vegetables. The Chinese claim over kimchi didn't go down well in South Korea, prompting even the Agriculture Ministry to issue a clarification that kimchi shouldn't be confused with pao cai.
If the saying holds true that you are what you eat, then Koreans are kimchi. 95% of them eat the spicy pickled cabbage every day. That's 2 million tons annually. Even its preparation is a celebrated ritual. So reports that China had secured international certification for a comparable product was something many Koreans found hard to digest. I read a media story that China now says kimchi is theirs and that they're making an international standard for it. It's absurd. I'm worried that they might steal other cultural goods, not just kimchi. A similar Chinese pickle called pao cai was recently certified by the International Organization for Standardization, or ISO, which pointed out the standard does not apply to kimchi. But China's state-run Global Times devoured the news, hailing the new standard for the, quote, kimchi industry led by China. Caught by surprise, China's foreign ministry recognized the piquant situation and called for more diplomacy. Is there an argument about this? I'm not aware of this.
I think there has been some disagreement online, yes.
Is that right? Maybe we should go and ask our colleagues in the South Korean embassy about where's the argument. I think we should have more cooperation and sharing. The perceived cultural and culinary appropriation also has some Koreans asking who's to blame. I don't think that Korea is handling the situation that well. It's important to make our own food appealing to people around the world. If we don't do that, that's our problem, not China. The kimchi clash may be cooling down, but it's still packed with emotion.
So lots to digest on the plate here. Let's bring in Dr. Sojin Lim. She's a senior lecturer at the University of Central Lancashire. Dr. Lim, why are South Koreans taking this to heart?
Oh, the thing is that the kimchi is something like a cultural thing rather than just a food in Korea. So in Korea, for example, we don't have served meals like by one, but we have all food at the same time on one table with the side dishes. And kimchi is the main side dish, and it's there always. And for example, for myself, I eat kimchi every day, and without kimchi, I can't even think about what I can have. And if I can't have kimchi for example, for like a week, then I feel like I'm really missing kimchi. So it is something embedded in our life in Korea. And, it has a history, and we just, talk about kimchi pretty much. And, even before winter time, every single family, we need to make a kimchi. We have this process and have kind of a tradition to make kimchi. But, when you think about, for example, in Italy, the pasta and the olives are there. But, if other countries claim that this tradition is their own ones, then that would be really disturbing. So this is kind of that. So China this time claims that the ISO International Standard Organization gave them the certification about Chinese kimchi, so-called from Chinese side, which is a pao cai. That is a pickled vegetable rather than kimchi. Kimchi is like a fermented vegetable. So that is why it's so bothering for South Koreans to call the pickled one as kimchi, which is really different from kimchi itself.
What do you see as the reason behind this Chinese attempt, in a sense, to claim kimchi as their own?
It looks like Chinese do not claim kimchi as its own like that, but Chinese, by having this certification for their pao chai, they included kimchi as a part of this series of different vegetables in a way. And also this is, as I see, is a part of the cultural diplomacy. And having all this food in the region as a part of Chinese originals, then that kind of makes their way to go beyond their country itself. So that is why the Korean government is so much alerted as well about that.
Do you see that this feud over food will continue in the near future?
It's not the new. For example, like 19 years ago, something like that, as I remember correctly, we already had the similar kind of dispute before as well. So the Chinese food and Korean food, we have similarities and then differences. But kimchi is so unique for our culture and society. So we already had this kind of dispute before, but now the even Korean government does not consider it as a kimchi, I mean the Chinese pao chai.
Dr. Lim, pleasure talking to you about kimchi instead of North Korean nuclear policy that we normally discuss. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.